Hi there, welcome to another Friday Findings video. Today I thought I would show you how you can use your wire and beads to make something other than jewelry. Today we're going to make this pretty snowflake, and it's easier than you might think. The first thing you'll need are three 7-inch pieces of 20 gauge wire, and then also some smaller gauge wire like 26. You'll want to use nylon jaw pliers to make sure your 20 gauge wire is as straight as possible. And then cut yourself just a bit of a length of your 26 gauge wire. Find the middle of one of your pieces of wire, make just a couple wraps with your 26 gauge, and then trim off the excess. And now place your other two wires right there, roughly centered. And now we're going to work from right to left. And I'm going to take this finer gauge wire, I'm going to go to the left of the next wire and then around behind it and back around the right. And this makes a loop, and it's the easiest way I have found to connect all these wires together into a snowflake frame. So around to the left of the wire and then behind it and out to the right. And then that gives you a way you can tug and really connect these wires together. And then repeat and go around a few times until you feel your three pieces of wire are pretty well connected together. And don't get discouraged. I've found this is actually the most difficult part of the whole project. And then to finish, I'm just going to wrap this a couple times around one of the wires and trim the excess. And I'm just going to use my flat nose pliers and really crunch all that together. So now you have your wire frame, and you're probably thinking it looks more like a spider web than a snowflake, but when we get done we will be able to straighten it out and make it symmetrical. So for beads, really anything that will fit over the 20 gauge wire goes. I like to use some bugle beads because they help keep the lines nice and long and kind of lacy like a snowflake. And then you can just pull together your beads in groups of 6. And really whatever you like. Now one of the reasons that you needed to have your wire very straight is because we're putting bugle beads on, and they're so long that if your wire isn't nice and straight, the bugle beads won't go over the wire. So the next step is to slide a bugle bead onto each of these pieces of wire. Now when you're handling your wire, if you pick it up while you're sliding on the beads, they're all going to fall off. So just leave it kind of flat on your workspace as you're working. So once you've added a round of bugle beads, and you could add a couple, you could also use like really long tube beads, really anything you like, as long as you have at least 6, go for it. And now I'm going to add a bicone crystal to each one. For color schemes, I like to choose one color and then one metallic, and I think that that looks really nice. So I've got gold and green, or gold and red, or silver and blue, or whatever. So once you have what you like on the inner part, now we're going to add this little star-shaped bit, and that helps it look like a snowflake and keeps it all together. So you want to cut yourself about a 15-inch piece or so of your 26 gauge wire. Now wrap that wire right above the last bead on one of your spokes just a couple times and trim off the excess. I'll slide on 2 bugle beads and then a small bead and 2 more bugle beads. And the idea behind using bugle beads here is that they will hold your wire nice and straight. So instead of having this rather curvy snowflake, which really won't do, the bugle beads will keep those little points kind of straight. And don't worry about the shaping right now. It's going to look like a train wreck. But what you want to do is pull your last bugle bead right up to the last bead on the next spoke and just wrap it around that spoke. And give it a tug so it's snug. And repeat all the way around. And then when you get back to where you started, you just add a couple wraps and trim off the excess wire. And if you want, you can use either your fingers or some chain nose pliers to squish those wraps together. And then from here on, you just add as many beads as you want, just keeping them the same on each spoke until it's as full as you think it should be. And I like to work out from smaller beads to the larger ones at the ends. Okay, so I've got all my beads on. I know it doesn't look great yet, but we're almost there. So the next step is to push each section of beads in each spoke down and find your shortest spoke, and you want to trim them all to that length. So this one looks to be about 3/4 of an inch, which is just right. So make sure you've pushed them all down and trim each one to the same length. You can use flush cutters and then have the flush side towards what you're keeping. And then what I like to do right now to keep any more beads from springing off is grab my round nose pliers and just make a loop. And then go around and trim all of them and make loops on all of the ends. Next, you can take flat nose pliers or chain nose pliers and grab those loops and just spiral them all the way down to the beads. And that way they're trapping those beads to be all the same length spokes. And now you can see it's starting to come together. Instead of this crazy looking thing, we actually are starting to have a snowflake. So now you can straighten out your spokes, make your little star in the center nice and straight, and there you have it. So get out your beads and some wire and have some fun making package toppers or sun catchers or Christmas ornaments, and have some fun creating with your beads and wire something other than jewelry. Here's another look at the snowflake we made today. I hope you enjoyed this project and that you'll give it a try. Thanks so much for watching Keepsake Crafts videos. If you like this video, please be sure to click subscribe so you subscribe to my channel and don't miss a thing. Also up on the screen are 2 more wire work projects you might enjoy. Happy creating. Bye-bye.